Hey everybody, Joe McCall from Wholesaling Lease Options. Hope you're doing well. Listen, this is in black and white, and you know why? Because I was getting frustrated with trying to adjust the color settings, and it was either too dark or too bright. The lighting's horrible in here, so I just made it black and white. That's the way it is. But doesn't matter anyway. What it looks like is what I wanted to share with you is really good. And I talk a lot about the psychology of talking with sellers, how to act like a disinterested buyer, how to get to the point, how not to chase them and sound so desperate. And if you listen to one of the recent testimonials by Chuck that I just put on the website, we talked in that recording how he changed his mindset and how he changed how he approached sellers. So I wanted to read to you someone's post recently in one of the forums that I have here. And Chuck actually put up a good response, and I thought it'd be good to read it, and I'll add some my own color commentary in it. This gentleman, I believe it's a gentleman, a person, says, "Hey, Happy New Year, everybody. After contacting hundreds of FSBO and for rent by owner leads on Craigslist and online websites, I have gotten a few seller landlords to say yes to doing a lease option. But then when the sellers or the landlords find out that I'm an investor and I have tenant buyers, then they change their mind and say no. Some say they are willing to do a lease option, but when they hear that I have tenant buyers, they run for the hills and the deal is off. How do you get around this problem?" Well, I understand the question. I understand the concern. And if it was a problem, well, that's maybe not a good way to put it. I understand it is a problem for some people, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, and it may be the reason why you're having that problem is how you were talking to the sellers. One real important thing you got to keep in mind, just like when you're digging for gold, you have to dig through a lot of dirt to get to the gold. And it's important that you keep in mind that it's a numbers game, and you're only looking for motivated sellers. And if you know where to find the motivated sellers and you know how to talk to them, they're not going to care if you have buyers or if you don't. Well, they are going to care if you have buyers, but they're not going to be running to the hills when you tell them that you do. Someone else here then says, "Yeah, good question. I've also contacted about 100 people on the phone and having the same issue." Let me say something else that came to my mind just now. You got to remember this. There's a big difference between contacting, cold calling 100 leads, okay, or talking to 100 sellers who respond to your marketing and call you back. Where do you think you're going to have more success? Just cold calling 100 leads or talking to 100 sellers who raise their hand and say, "Yes, I'm interested," who respond to your direct mail, your postcards or yellow letters, or who respond to your voice blasts and text messages and emails, all right? So it's real important that you keep that distinction in mind, and you need to talk to the most motivated sellers and filter them out if they're not interested. All right, as quickly as possible. So Chuck, back to Chuck, wrote a really good response here. And somebody else says, yeah, it's a numbers game, etc. But Chuck's responded here, "Yes, that's right. It's a numbers game." And if you've got to listen to this testimonial from Chuck, because it's real good. He just did his first deal, made $6,500. It's on the website, one of the posts at the top of the page. He says here, "That's right. This is a numbers game. It's a matter of finding the motivated ones, and they will come. This is a game of consistent persistence." I'm going to call this video that, consistent persistence. You have to flat out call a minimum of 5 sellers a day without fail. Now, I don't know if he means by cold calling. I think you should be at least talking to 5 sellers a day, and the sellers you should be talking to are the ones who are responding to your marketing, which you should be having a virtual assistant do for you, right? No excuses. 5 sellers a day without fail. No excuses. If you do, you will succeed. I have done it. Here are a few pointers I have learned after hundreds of phone calls, which Joe teaches as well. I keep this list next to my phone. He keeps this list next to my phone. You ready for this? Number 1, and I'll put this in the video description in YouTube if they let me make this long enough here. Number 1, use a script every time. Practice it. Smooth it out, not to sound canned or fake or outsourced. Okay. Almost sound disinterested. Very important. Very important. In the course, you'll find an article I put in there by Peter Conti about negative phrasing. How to say to something like this, I don't know if this is for you, but, I got this great lease purchase program. It's not perfect, may not be for you. That's totally okay. But I got a bunch of buyers right now I don't know what to do with. They're on the verge of getting a mortgage, and they're looking for a home to lease purchase in your neighborhood. I don't know if that'd be something you would be interested in. You wouldn't be interested in that, would you? Sellers subconsciously will always disagree with anything somebody who they don't know says to them. And so it's important that, you can approach to them like, look, if this isn't for you, that's fine. It's no big deal. Just walk away. I got more important people to talk to. All right. Number 3 here, slow down your speech. If you talk fast, you will sound like a fast-talking snake oil salesman. This is important here. The harder you chase them, the faster they will run away. And I was totally guilty of that when I first got started. I was making a lot of phone calls, explaining all the benefits of lease purchase, and just talking, chasing them. And the harder you chase them, the faster they will run away. You'll find that the less time you spend on the phone with sellers, the more successful you'll be. So slow down when you talk. Another good pointer here, he says, record your calls and review them. Put yourself in the seller's shoes. How would you feel if someone called you sounding like you with your house they were messing with? Would you trust the way you sound? So ask yourself, would you trust the way you sound? Now, how do you record your calls? I would suggest using Skype with your computer, and you can record calls through different add-ons. The one I use is called Pretty May. Pretty May is this, and it doesn't make a beep or a recording that says, hey, this call's being recorded. Now, I know there's some legal issues depending on your state about recording calls, so just use that with your own judgment. I do recommend it. Okay. Be confident. Be confident. You have a lot to offer the seller. You have the best out there to offer. They're getting all they could ever want, full lease payment each month, full price for their property, no commissions, and a great pre-screened tenant buyer. You're offering a valuable service. You don't need to beg for their business. Okay? They either need you or they don't. Don't spew off all the benefits of working with you at once. Just a little bit at a time as they ask you more. But tell them just enough for them to keep interested. One of the things I'll say is, look, what if me or one of my buyers could lease purchase your property, pay you the rents on the first of every month, take care of all the day-to-day maintenance and repairs, then buy the property at the end of that time without you paying any commission? You wouldn't be interested in that, would you? Or what would you want to do then? So I just gave the benefits to them real quick. I didn't list the 20 benefits all over. That took me 5 minutes to go through. I just told them little bits here and there and asked them, what do you think? Are you interested? If they say no, get off the phone, or ask them, hey, can I email you some more information or something? But you're not spewing off all the benefits. Just give them a little bit at a time. See if they're interested. Throw a little bait out there. See if they nibble. All right. This is important. And Chuck did a real good job talking about this in the testimonial. He says here, play somewhat hard to get. As the opportunity arises, you can say, look, I can only help a limited number of sellers a month. And that's partly true, right? I mean, you can't help 500 sellers a month. So it's important to play somewhat hard to get. One of my students in Florida was a mortgage broker. And he was so good on the phone with sellers. He would just get on the phone and say, hey, I'm a mortgage broker. I got a bunch of buyers right now on the verge of getting a mortgage. And when he was talking, he wasn't sounding rushed, but he was sounding like it was a sense of urgency. And look, if you're not interested, that's fine, no big deal. I got to get off the phone and talk to somebody else because I'm busy. Do you see the difference? He was playing hard to get. He was saying, look, with his tone, the way he was talking, I am busy. If you're not interested, that's cool, but I got to get off the phone and talk to somebody who is, because I got a bunch of buyers. I have a problem. I have more buyers than I have homes right now. Are you interested or not? Are you in or out? It's really, really critical that you have that mentality. Chuck says here, practice answering the objections in Joe's course. If you go to my course, I have a section under objections. And when you are answering objections, it's important to keep your answer as short as possible and try to answer the objection with a question. You say something like, you say their name. You can say something like, I can understand why that would be a problem. But then you kind of give a quick answer that redirects. And I cover those kind of details in that section of the mind map. All right, now this is really important, this last final tip here. Now, when you get someone interested, follow up with them. I'll be the first to admit I'm not the best at this. That's why I've hired virtual assistants to do this for me. Now, when you get someone interested, follow up with them. They will cool down quickly. Some of you will need to ask for the agreement back the same day or the next day at the latest. That's a great idea. You could even walk them through it on the phone. Now, if you're using DocuSign, which I recommend, you can say, hey, look, I can email this to you right now, and you can sign it online. And then you can email it to them, walk them through how to sign it, and get started. But it's really important you follow up later that day or the next day. Great, great idea. Consistent persistence, and you will succeed, as I say, in spite of myself. Thank you, Chuck. That was very, very good. I just wanted to share that with you guys in the video, and I hope that that really clicks, and I hope that resonates with you guys. So now let me figure out how to stop this video. Peace out.